Welcome to Tea and Muse for the Modern Woman. Thank you so much for being here and joining me here on this late spring morning. I hope everybody's doing really
Really well.
well. Um, now I have
Now
an
I have an
echo in
echo.
my voice. I wonder.
I think
Okay.
I think I figured it out for
Okay, good. Thanks.
you.
um, Okay, welcome everybody. I'd love to take a moment before we get started and just invite you to make this your magic moment. Let this be your time to be still and quiet and do something just for you. So that might mean closing a door or lighting a candle. Maybe you have a cup of tea with you already. A little aloes wood incense always goes a really long way. Maybe it's just a few deep breaths to start and really just set an intention for this next 45 minutes or hour or so that we have here together to really just allow yourself to receive, allow yourself to drop in and to be in the magic of receptivity. We kind of spend our whole days going and thinking and doing and being in our thinking minds and performing and checking off the things on our lists and racing and rushing and going. And so let this be your moment to recalibrate back to your own rhythm, back to your own wisdom, back to that wildness and that magic that lives in your gut and in your heart and not in the computer of your mind. It lives here and it lives here. It does not live in your mind. So let this be your time in your moment. And I am really excited to share this class with you in particular. We do these free classes every month, and they're rituals and botanicals for the season or for the reason or for the moon or for a certain physical ailment or wish or something that we're calling in. But this class, this Tea as a Muse for the Modern Woman, really gets at the very heart, the very core of everything that Tea Huntress really is, if I boil it all the way down. Um, and that is tea as an expression of the feminine divine, and tea as a way back to our divine feminine essence and all the magic and empowerment and freedom and peace and beauty and flow that lives there. And this is my experience with tea. And this truly is my dharma. It's my life's job mission. It's why I'm here, is to share this message and this frequency, this energy of tea out into the world with you. So again, thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know me, I want to introduce myself just briefly and let you know how I came to tea. So it's been a lifelong journey, which is why I always say that this is my dharma. This is my life's purpose, is to share this message and to share tea in this way. I was born in the US. I grew up in Finland with my maternal lineage. And when we spent summers in Finland, we would fish in the lake and we would forage in the forests and we would eat under the midnight sun and we bathed in the sauna and we got water from the wild spring that was in the forest behind the house. And my my grandmother and my aunt, they would tell me stories in the sauna and at night when we brush each other's hair about astrology and about clairvoyance and about clear dreams that they were having. And everything there just felt so alive. It felt so magical. And at the same time, it felt really just safe and pure and easy. There was no chaos. There was no drama. There was no speed. There was no keeping up with clothes or culture or society. It was just us in our sweatpants and our naked bodies and our rubber boots, stomping through the forest, collecting tadpoles, like really marveling in the joy of nature. And when I look back, I can put that in the terms that what happened to me then is that I was receiving these codes of wisdom, these truths that nature gave me, that nature gives all of us when we spend time with nature. And I remember sitting in the forest and just being like, oh, that's how that works about life, or watching the way the ants would move or the trees would, grow and bloom, and just like these aha moments, these like awarenesses of wisdom that were being imparted to me in nature, and just the frequency and the vibration of that, it really gave me um, such deep wisdom and an imprint of the way the world works, like the way that nature works. And because it felt so good and alive there, especially in contrast with growing up in Texas and then Tennessee in the US, where I went to school during the school year, once I got out of school, I decided I was going to, and I didn't do this consciously, but I decided that I wanted to live the way that we lived in Finland. I wanted to live in connection to nature. I wanted to live a way that felt that free and that felt that connected and that felt that alive with that same amount of freedom and simplicity. And so that brought me to study agriculture and organic farming. And I thought that I wanted to be a farmer. And I spent years after college living in tents and teepees and off the grid and learning about herbalism and farming and working alongside cooks and herbalists and farmers and surfers and skiers. And I had this really wild, free life. I lived in Alaska off the grid. I bathed in the lake, and I continued to maintain receiving those codes that we receive from nature. And then eventually the path took me to tea. And when it did, I was 25. I just turned 26. And it was like falling in love. All of a sudden, I started working with tea, and something came online, something connected, and it felt like this total alignment. Doors flew open, people were there to help. And so for the next 20 years, I traveled the world of tea. I learned about ethical tea and clean tea and organic tea. I met farmers. I traveled to every origin. I started businesses. And spent my career learning how to be a tea formulator and a tea buyer and to understand tea deeply. And so I've had a number of different tea companies, but in the last 9 years, I've had Tea Huntress. So this is actually Tea Huntress's birthday week. She's turning 9 this year, or yeah, right now this week. But when I started learning of tea as a meditation and as a wellness practice, it really connected with me because I've also spent my life since I was 17 practicing yoga and practicing breath work and pranayama, and of course traveling to places like India and Sri Lanka and Japan and learning about these sacred practices and rituals and the way that people practice ritual in order to cultivate their lives. It's something we don't really do. We're not really taught here in the United States or in the Western culture how to practice tea or flower arranging or archery or any of the other Tao's ways, practices that we use just to drop into ourselves and our stillness and our wisdom. And so I brought all of that together, and it all comes together with Tea Huntress. And so Tea Huntress shares these teachings through our online tea school, the Art and Ritual of Tea certification course, and also through the high vibe, potent teas and wellness blends that we share. And then lastly, through our live experiences like the Mystic Finland retreat every August and the summer solstice gathering, and we do private events and experiences for groups as well. So that's a little bit about me and my background and how I came here. And so then tea, and there are a lot of people in the world that talk about tea, and the tea industry is largely driven by men, especially in the British lineage. So especially in the culture of tea and the industry of tea, once tea became commercialized, that's really based in the UK. But if we rewind the clock millennia, we come to Yunnan, China, and we come to this forest where tea was revered as a goddess. She was known to be the essence of the feminine divine. And there are lots of entheogens out there. There are lots of god plants like tea and like psilocybin and like ayahuasca and like cacao and like coffee, and these plants that have been considered to be divine and to have like a really unique and special frequency and vibration that can guide humans and heal humans and expand humans. This is this category of plants called entheogens. And so tea is an entheogen. And while each of these different entheogens have their own unique imprint, teas is that of connection and it's that of healing. But underneath all of it, it's about the essence of the feminine divine. It's about the carrying forward of this feminine essence. And so if you look at tea, she embodies everything that the yin energy embodies. And that is stillness and quiet and receptivity and nourishment, nurturing, love, unconditional love, and also magic and intuition. And all of this lives within the feminine imprint. And the opposite of yin, of course, the feminine is the masculine. And so then we have plants like coffee that really more embody the divine masculine. And so these energetics are inspiring, upward moving, movement, fast, light, bright, expansive and upward moving way. The energy is, moving upwards and expanding and growing. And the yang energy is so, it turns us on, it excites us, it's so inspiring, it like drives us, it motivates us, it moves us. And this world that we live in right now is and has been very much skewed towards that, the yang, the masculine, the coffee, the go, 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 the do, do, do. And this energy lives up in our thinking mind. It lives in our hearts and our bodies too, but it's very much this modern society energy of going and doing. And so women in this modern society are at record pace trying to keep up and just like going and putting on our proverbial pantsuits and like going and going and going. Um, and it is burning us out. And not only is it burning us out, the thing that I'd say is more important is that it's not allowing our full expression. It's not allowing the feminine to come through, the magic, the wisdom, the like knowing, the knowing that I know I felt when my baby down the house fell out of his crib, and before he even did it, I jumped up out of sleep to catch him before he fell. Like that's feminine magic. And the dreams my grandmother would have of people before they would die, every single time you did not want to be in one of her dreams. The dream my mother had about me before I went on this trip that I ended up canceling. This is the divine feminine. This is our magic. This is where our power lies. And in this world that's growing hotter and faster and louder, we need the feminine magic. We need the feminine intuition. We need the feminine wisdom. And it's cultivated by moments of stillness and moments of beauty. And there is no better tonic. There is no better practice. There is no better way to cultivate this divine feminine than through this practice of tea. And there's even an expression in the world of tea, and it's called the agony of the leaf. And so you might have heard of it. I'm watching it in my tea bowl right now, but the agony of the leaf is this slow unfurling of the tea leaf in hot water. And so if you rewind the clock and you go back to Yunnan, China, where tea was prayed to, fed placentas to, protected, harvested only once a year, known to be the healer of all ailments, body, mind, and spirit, those long tea leaves were allowed to fully unfurl in hot water in an open vessel, take their time, express themselves fully. And in that slow unfurling, that agony of the leaf, the tea was able to fully express her magic and heal the world. And then if you fast forward the clock and you travel on Tea's journey first to Japan, where she was a meditation aid, brought there by the Zen Buddhist monks and valued for her ability to bring you into calm, alert focus because of the L-theanine and the GABA and even the caffeine, the theobromine and the leaf, the magic, the energy, the frequency. And then you follow her journey to Tibet, where she was more nourishment, and then into the trade routes in Morocco and Mongolia, where tea became more a symbol of connection and friendship, and then community in places like Turkey and Russia. And then eventually tea makes her way to the British Empire. And when that happens, tea becomes revered not for her magic and not for her healing, not for her meditative qualities, but more for her body and for her strength. And they loved her so much that they wanted her to perform fast and they wanted her to extract her essence quickly. And so they chopped her up and they stuck her in a tea bag. And then she became valued for how fast can you extract in hot water? How well can you hold up to the pressure of milk and sugar and scones and cream? And everything kind of changed. And so tea, even though she's still the goddess, she still has that imprint of magic, her volume's been turned all the way down because she's living in this cage, this tea bag. And I don't know about you, but I feel that. I feel that in my everyday. I have felt that in my bones every day of my life. From when I was a little girl, hurry up, rush, go faster, try harder, learn this math that doesn't make any sense to your brain because you're off here doing magic. But like, we need you to do this math and science, and we need you to do it in this time frame on this schedule, even though it doesn't work with the rhythms and cycles of your body or with nature. And it makes absolutely no sense because it was created by men for men so that we can have this culture that operates, successfully and efficiently. And the magic just kind of went away, and the leaf could no longer express her full essence in the cup and experience that agony of the leaf. And so, as tea is such a beautiful embodiment of the feminine divine, she even can show us, guide us, take us back to our full expression if we are finding ourselves in the proverbial tea bags of our lives. Um, and so the way how is to find our way out of the tea bag. And because tea is my dharma, and this teaching, this liberation of the feminine is also my dharma, I have had the great pleasure and challenge of liberating myself time and time again from the proverbial tea bags of my own life. And I can tell you that journey has been softened and guided over and over and over again through tea and the time that I sit quietly with my bowl of these ancient, beautiful, wise, feminine leaves. And I sit in the alchemy of earth and water and wind and fire, very much like the saunas that I grew up in, the alchemy, that darkness, that stillness, that yin quality. And when I sit here long enough, I always get the aha moments, the codes from nature, the imprints, the experience of like, okay, that's what's true. Okay, that's who I am. There I am. That's me. And that's true. And this is what's real. And all the noise and all the chaos and all the things to do and all the pills and programs and protocols and processes can just kind of melt away for a minute. And then when you sit here with tea, this energy, you're left with just your truth and just that sweet, nourishing essence that tea has, like your truth, and like, it's all right. You are actually just perfect exactly how you are. And you can take the pills and the programs and the protocols, and you can evolve and grow and expand, and you can step into all of that. But please, for now, just know that you're perfect how you are. Your body's perfect. Your brain is perfect. Your personality is perfect. Your job is perfect. The amount of money that you make is perfect. Your relationships are perfect. They're all your journey, and you can change them because you're that powerful. You can change anything you want. But here in this moment, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, all the pain, all the drama, all the complexity of life is invented in your mind for no good purpose. It's just me and the tea converging. And that is the magic and the beauty of this experience in this moment, even for men, but in every moment, especially for women, and especially for those who feel this tea bag, whether the tea bag is a boss or a job or a partnership, whether it's some function of whatever function it is of your life that feels like it's holding you back from your full expression, that full expression that if it were to be fully expressed could heal the world, and you know it because every woman is here to shine her light, to connect with her dharma, to release the shackles and the cages that sometimes come. And the other good news about tea is that she lets you take your time. So it doesn't, like, I don't want to scare anybody. It's not like you have to release all the shackles really quickly. It can just be on your own pace and time. And, I know when I was going through my divorce, for example, I think I knew probably 10 years before I actually had the clarity, and it was time, like I'm building this new company right now to launch Moon Milk, and people have been telling me to and talking about it. I've been thinking about it for years, ever since I created Moon Milk. But now it's time. So you hone your intuition, you sharpen the sword, and then when it's time. And so it doesn't need to be scary. Again, this is all nourishment. This is all peace. This is you and your divine essence and your right time doing it your way. But tea will guide you back through the agony of the leaf to the ecstasy of full expression. And even though that agony might come with the pain of needing to leave a relationship when you're ready in time, or, the pain of needing to like leave a job that might be paying well, but is really not doing you ultimately justice, or, whatever the pain is. And I've done this so many times that I promise you, like on the other side of the hard thing that you have to do, that you don't want to do, that I personally, as like somebody who secretly deep down inside feels like a shy little girl that's like not all that powerful, like when I get to that place of like, damn, there it is. And then also feeling like I'm ready, there's always great gems, jewels, riches, gifts on the other side of that. And then the other good news is that tea makes it so much easier, because when you get into that deep state of consciousness with that medicine, the energy medicine of the leaf, with the rhythm of the practice, and you get to that place of knowing, there is no unknowing. There just isn't any unknowing. And so I want to show you a very simple tea practice. So some of you might already have a tea practice. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it seems very foreign, mysterious. Tea can be that way. It can feel really confusing. But the beautiful simplicity of tea is that it truly, really is just hot water and leaves. And that's all it's ever been. So whether people over time, because tea is the great shapeshifter, she is the great adapter, she wants so badly to nourish all humans that she shapeshifts. So in Morocco, she's got sugar and mint, and she's sensual and intoxicating, just like Morocco. And she's got that whirling dervish energy of Moroccan mint tea. And in India, she's like spicy and colorful, like masala chai, like the kind of beautiful chaos that India can be. And in Japan, she's a really simple, wabi-sabi, beautiful bowl of matcha and other teas too. But she does shape shift in all these different ways. Therefore, it's easy to feel like, tea's overwhelming. I don't even know how to make it. What's this deal about the water temperature? All you need is a bowl and some leaves. So we have a ceremonial collection. In our ceremonial collection of teas, you will find teas that come from ancient trees that are genetically integritous. They come from wild plantations. They have been not cultivated. They are not from seed. They're not cut up. They're not chopped up. They are in their pure, wild potential of earth energy. They have high vibe. You can feel it on your tongue. You can feel it in your body. It shifts your mindset. It subtly, slowly, beautifully. You don't have to throw up and hallucinate. It's like she is just there in all the beautiful, powerful subtlety of a woman to guide you. So these teas, these ceremonial teas, we also have classic teas like from the British lineage that are sourced cleanly from fair trade and ethical gardens, like chai and Earl Grey and Huntress breakfast. But the ceremonial collection is what we're talking about when we're talking about sitting with the wisdom of this leaf, with this plant. So the first thing that you want to do when you come into your tea practice is set a sacred space. And that can be lighting a candle. It can be some aloes wood incense. It can be laying out a runner. And then you want to come into your center and take a few breaths, put your hands together, set an intention. When you set your sacred space, you also want to bring in a tea bowl. And this is, we evolve this over time. If you join the tea course, you will learn across earth, water, wind, and fire, 4 modules, 3 months of deep diving into tea as a practice and also a spirit tonic, and all the different ways to enjoy tea, but just in its most simple form for today. You want to have a bowl, and you want to have these potent, long, energetic leaves. Right now I'm drinking Rewilding. We have one called Alchemy that's like really, really magic. We have Wood Dragon for strength, and all the energetics are on the website, but we have Rising Phoenix for healing and for abundance and the luxurious, bringing in the luxury and the healing. We have Spirit Dance if you really want an upward journey. Oh, we have Fire Horse, which is new for this year. It's my favorite right now. I've been sitting with Fire Horse long sessions. If you're in Nashville, hit me up. We'll have tea together. It's so magic. But check out those. That's the leaf that you want. And so you have your bowl and you have your leaf and you have your sacred space set. And then you just need hot water. And you need hot water on the ready. So it can look like a hot kettle next to you. It can even look like a thermos. It can be a kettle on a brazier, a kettle on a hot plate, an electric hot plate. You just want to have it there with you because the rhythm of the practice requires steeping and re-steeping the leaves. Okay, so once you begin, you have your bowl, you can bless your leaves. You put about 10 long leaves in the bowl, and then you simply, I'll bring this up so you can see in the camera, and then you just simply pour the water over the leaves. Watch the steam rise, hold it at your heart, and then your body will start to, over the course of your practice, respond to the feeling of this bowl in your hands, the roundness of it, the simplicity of it, the smell of the aloes wood incense that connects your senses, drops you out of your thinking mind and into the wisdom of your body. And then you can take a few breaths. And when the water isn't too hot, you can simply sip and allow these leaves to drop down to the bottom of the bowl. Allow the liquid to warm up your inside, flush it just like a hot sauna from the inside, flushing the toxins, nourishing your body, bringing you these trace minerals that only exist in these old teas because they have the deepest taproot of any plant. And so if they are 5, 6, 7, 800-year-old plants, you can imagine they have really deep, wise, ancient earth energy, but also the potent minerals that exist deep in the earth. And then the practice here, the invitation is that of receptivity. So you're not talking, you're not journaling, you're not doing oracle cards or anything else. You're literally just sitting here with a deep breath, with your highest self, with this bowl of tea. And then when you finish the one bowl, you can put it down and then just simply pour again. And over the course of 3 bowls, sipped like this in silence, giving yourself the 10 minutes or so that it takes at least. You can have 20 bowls, you can sit for 3 hours. I have, when I have something that I need to unlock, I have sat for hours and hours. And I will say there's never, ever, ever been a time that I haven't sat long enough that I have not found the answer to the problem. I always have found the answer to the problem. Sometimes it takes a couple hours and a whole lot of tea, but the answer always comes. It always does. And over the course of these 3 bowls, you'll just find yourself drop in. There are the compounds again in the leaf, the L-theanine, the GABA, the theobromine, that help to put our brain into alpha state, that help to focus and connect. But deeper than that, there's the magic and the energy, the essence, the frequency, the vibration of tea as a plant medicine. So after your 3rd or 30th bowl, whenever you're complete, then you finish. And at this point, you will be humming, you will be in a deep state of connectivity, you will not want to leave, you'll want to stay here for the rest of your life, and you'll be like in your divine feminine, in your whole pure clarity. You can put your hands together. You can speak a word of gratitude to tea, to the leaf, to her nourishment, her clarity, her ability to open your heart, her ability to bring you joy, her ability to reconnect you to yourself and the divine and those that you love, and to find the clear truth of what really is underneath, again, all the pain and drama and complexity that we create in our minds for no good purpose. So that's my invitation for you today, is to drop into practice, make it be your summer practice. If you want to be guided through it, I have a pinnacle offering at Tea Huntress. It's everything I've learned about tea. It's the Art and Ritual of Tea online certification course. I've just moved it from cohort style to open enrollment. So you can enroll today. You can enroll anytime you want. It's a 3-month course. You can do it across 3 years if you want. It's not going away. We have a monthly live call. And if you have ever signed up for the course, then you will always get access to that monthly live call. And so it becomes our community, becomes our circle. It's where we meet, where we share tea, where you can always ask me questions, and where I share about the leaf and the tea and her medicine and her energy and the practice of tea in the various ways. So that course is there. And because right now it is Tea Huntress's ninth birthday, we're running a sale for another couple days. There's a code, Sun Circle. You'll find it on the website. The course is 20% off. Every tea on the website is 20% off. The only thing that's not 20% off is the live experiences, which is like our upcoming summer solstice gathering in Tennessee and our upcoming Mystic Finland retreat on the Lionsgate portal, which is the most magical week of the year. It's our initiation into the heart of the divine feminine and the place where I learned everything I know about nature and her codes. So those are 10% off because you will receive after this course an email that gives you 10% off. So those are our gifts to you. Those are our invitations throughout this. There's one other thing which I'll quickly mention, which is a one-on-one mentorship. So if you're not a group learning person, if you're not an online learning person, or if you want to deepen your practice, there is the one-on-one mentorship too, which is under Tea School, and that is also on sale this week. So I hope to see you soon. I hope that you're inspired to spend more time with tea. And I didn't even touch on all of her friends, all of the roots and leaves and flowers that I'm looking at right now, the lotus and the rose and the borage and the nettle and the chicory and cinnamon and mugwort and all these beautiful plants. But that's for another class because they all have their energy and their medicine too. And they're all friends to bring into your life to help guide you on your path. But tea is the practice. Tea is the empress, the queen of all the plants, as she was called in her homeland of China. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you in the Art and Ritual of Tea online certification course. I hope to see you live at Summer Solstice and Mystic Finland or in the mentorship. And I hope that you all have a lovely, lovely month. I think we do have a little bit of time. Oh, we have a lot of time. So if anybody has questions, Yasmina's on with us and she can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. You don't need to ask permission. You can just dive in if you have any questions about anything at all.
I have a question. I
Yeah,
really,
hi.
hi, I'm Indy. Um, I really, really love and appreciate the way you articulated this feeling and sense and this urgency and this kind of unnatural like energy that I think women have been metabolizing for a while. Um, I'm a lifelong tea lover since I was a child. I drank so much of it that I became like allergic to the tisanes I was drinking
No.
to manage my nervous system as a child. I was so intuitively like connected to the plants.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like super fascinating. This conversation around liberation of women and this full expression of women. Is there more of this conversation happening in the certification program?
Um, we talk about, well, let's see. So the certification program, we start with Earth and we talk all about what Tia is, where she comes from, her home, and then we talk about her energetics and then her journey in more depth. So the journey I just described, like who was she to the Japanese people and why, and what's the history there, and then also Morocco and China and Taiwan and Africa and India and all of that. So we talk about her meaning, her essence, her frequency, her vibration, and how um, what she was to those people. That's earth. And then types of tea. We talk about agriculture and terroir. And then in water, we talk about the magic of water and its frequency and how important water is. We talk about total dissolved solids and steeping and how to make matcha and how to make chai and how to pour, how to prepare tea. And then in wind, we move into spirituality. And so this is where we do the ritual workshop, the ritual work. You're guided through creating rituals, ikigai, what's your dharma, what's your purpose. Because the purpose of the whole course is to empower all of you. This is the work, is empowering everyone to shine their light, empowering everybody to turn their volume all the way up, to come into their full expression, to receive, to come into the ecstasy of the leaf and our full expression, because that's what the world needs from us right now. The world needs for women to shine and to lead and to express and to be fully in their divine quality. That's what I believe is going to heal the world. And I think tea is the way that we're going to get there. So, and then in fire, we alchemize and you become the ritualist, the ceremonialist, you become your highest expression. And you share that through tea or botanicals in whichever way that you have learned through the 3 modules ahead. So the conversation in the live classes really flows based on what the questions are and who's there and whatever we want to talk about. So we have that time every month to talk through those conversations. So to answer your question, yes, but kind of like in through various lenses at various times. I would say that everything I teach has to do with this perception because, again, there are a billion men out there that are teaching about tea, and I largely disagree with a lot of the things that they're teaching about how to steep the tea, about how to prepare the tea, and how I don't disagree with them all. There's just a lot of like no child left behind rules of thumb that have been imparted upon tea that I'm like, hold up, like, she's like this and she's like this, so you can't just talk about her like that. So I would say that like my whole ethos, everything that I share about tea in general is a feminine perspective because she's guiding me, like she comes through me. And like I don't know if you watched Moana, but you know how the ocean guides Moana, and she's like, sometimes she gets mad at Moana or the ocean. And I feel like that sometimes I'm like, come on, T, I did everything you told me to do. Like, why is this so hard? And then you have that thing where you're like, oh, I'm on the beach. Like, there's Maui. So it's very much that same kind of a relationship. But I would say that all my teachings are imprinted with this mission ethos, which is the world needs more of the divine feminine. Tea's the way to get there. Tea's the pathway there. Women need to experience the agony of the leaf in order to come into the ecstasy of full expression. So yeah. But also, like, I love that you were drawn to tea from a young age, and I kind of giggle to myself because tea is so powerful, and I've had so many conversations. I've always felt dharmically called to tea, and for years, decades, I've kind of joked that she was like, she basically like kidnapped me, and she's like, you get in the car, and like locked the door. She's like, we're going on a ride. Shut up, don't talk. And so I'm like in the passenger seat, just like, okay, whatever you tell me to do. And because I've been with her so long, it's always the path always reveals itself. But then it turns out other people have had this experience with tea too. So if you are called to tea, I think that you don't have a choice is kind of the thing. If you have this like calling to tea, she will move mountains to get you where you need to go. So you can kind of sit back in this like surrendered tea goddess state, which is every woman, right? The tea goddess that nourishes, that loves, that flows, that creates beauty and abundance. So I love that that's your dharma. It sounds like too, your calling.
I've been looking at certification programs for years, trying to find one that felt right and that felt like it wasn't going to take me somewhere I didn't want to go. And so
Right.
I was really excited to find you.
Yeah, well, thanks. You're not alone. I attract women like you. I attract women who are looking to learn more, to share more, to kind of turn their volume up, to even enhance their existing healing practices or even clinical practices or even just life, or to help them cope with their corporate career or mother or their, whatever it is. But yeah, I tend to attract women who have the same calling. That's what we do in the course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, Sarah, maybe that there was one more question if Hawkins is still on
Yes,
the call.
I am.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling on
Hi,
me. Hi.
Hawkins.
Of
I love
course.
your
Hi.
moon.
Oh, thank you. That was in a little shop in upstate New York, and it had a little seat attached to it. And I just wish I could make something like that. It is so cute. Thank you for this class. My friend in Kentucky, Lala, put me on to you, and fascinating to hear about the yin and the being trapped in a tea bag and just imagining the journey of the tea leaves. It was really fascinating. I've loved tea for forever and never thought about that. So my question is, I have a lot of tea in bags in my pantry, and I'm like, I don't want that anymore, honey. I don't want the tea in the bag. So do you have any recommendations for like how I can liberate that tea or make use of it in a way that is like, aligned? Because I want to be more connected. And like I even made some tea before the class started, and before you even said that, I tried it and I was like, oh, that doesn't taste good. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my question. And then also I have some like mugwort and skullcap that I got years ago, not from a tea store, but just I don't know, some woo shop. And I'm wondering if like that is safe to drink or if it needs to be like food grade flowers, or if you have any insight on that.
Okay, I'll give you, do you want like the nice version and then the true version, or do you just want the
To
true
be
version?
honest, I don't care if it's like, girl, get that out of your house right now. You know, I
Okay,
want
let
you to
me
tell
give
me
you
the
the
truth.
true version. Here's the true version. The nice version is like, well, I mean, all tea is good tea and it won't hurt you and blah, blah, blah. The harsh, true version in my mind is like, make it a ritual, like make it an art, a practice, a ritual of letting go, liberate the tea bag, whether that means you sit out in a pile in your yard or a compost bin and just rip every tea bag open, or if you just have one big Hail Mary and throw it in a fire, or whatever feels right to you. And I would just release the shame of like, oh, but it needs to all be composted and like, oh, the packaging and all that. Do whatever you feel aligned with as far as like the composting, the, the all that. You can make it a thing of liberating some of them. But I would start from scratch, because if you buy your mugwort, and I always, I used to lead retreats a lot in Morocco, and people always wanted to buy the spices from Morocco. And yes, if it's like a specific varietal of mint, like the Nana that they use in the Moroccan mint tea, and you can't get it at home. But I was like, I don't know that I'd be buying all this that's mounted up in heaps where all the cars and the donkeys and the people and the incense are, and you don't know where it came from or if it's organic. I'd rather go buy it from an organic source that is buying the highest quality in America, um, or in Europe or wherever you live. Egypt, it depends on the plant, but I think I would start over, and I think that I would make it be a ritual and a moment of like burning or clearing or throwing away or liberating, and just start scratch with like the 5 T's that you want to bring into your life, the energies that you're seeking, and just match the energies that you're calling in with the energies of the T's. And whether that is like, I really love my mugwort, I really love my skull cap. I would get mugwort and skull cap from great suppliers. Or if it's tea, I would get them from me because I source and the herbs I source everything really potent and clean. But just because I can speak to my teas and I can't speak to other people's teas, but they are clean and potent and all the things. So I would do that, and I would start over. And the way that this is a whole other class, but like, I don't just always sit in ceremony all day long. Like, I make teas on the run. I put leaves in a mug, hot water. I take that to when I drop my kids off at school. I love a Darjeeling first flush in the mornings. Um, I have these glass teapots. You can see them online. They're just really functional and really affordable. They're not like the $600 ceremonial teapots, but they are really, I use them every day to steep like herbs, to steep this, to steep that. So I'm just saying that because a lot of people don't know what to do without tea bags. They don't know how to steep the tea. So these, there exist these really, and especially now on my website, because they're 20% off, but they were affordable to start with. But then there are steeping devices that are just literally an open vessel with a strainer lid. But I would start over, because your mugwort, if it's years old, is already not going to be potent. It won't hurt you, but you don't know where it came from. So you don't know how it was grown. And your skull cap, same thing. It's not going to hurt you, but it's probably not going to help you either. Same thing with the herbs in the tea bag. And, I'll sometimes, if I'm traveling, I'll grab, it happens less and less, but like, I'm not like such a snob that I won't have a tea bag, but I am 99.9% such a snob that I don't really usually have 2 bags. um, plants are medicine, tea is medicine. It heals you, it connects you, it nourishes you. And so you might as well get the best. Um, and, let it work its magic. Okay, did that answer it?
Yes, thank you so much. And do you have a brick and mortar in Nashville?
I don't anymore. I have a tea room in my house where I do a lot of my work in formulating and blending and things like, or not blending. The blending happens at a workshop, which the address I think that's on our website right now is that, and they do sell our teas. So it's the only place that sells my teas that's not just on my website. Like we don't sell to shops except this one shop because we blend in the back of it. So if you're in Nashville, it's up on Heron Drive. It's at Meal, Meel. It's 370 Heron Drive, Suite 5. And should be on my website, but that's what it
Cool.
is.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Sarah, we had one question in the chat from Becky. When you refer to tea, is it one specific plant slash type or any plant you feel called to sit with?
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you asked that, Becky. And I really wish that I had said that. I meant to say that. We are talking about the tea plant, Camellia sinensis, born in Yunnan, China. We are not talking about chamomile or mint or borage or roses or cinnamon or dandelion or any other root, bark, leaf, fruit. We're talking about the leaf of the Camellia sinensis plant. So that is the one. And if you sit in ceremony and silence with another plant, it's called like a dieta in certain cultures, like where you're sitting with the divine essence of that plant. And some people just diet on a certain plant for days and months to feel the energy of those plants. But when we sit with tea, I'm talking about Camellia sinensis, the tea plant. Now you can sit with other teas, other plants for other reasons, but that's not what I'm talking about in this because the energy of tea comes from that plant, her genetics, her divine essence. It's her spirit. It's the tea spirit that is living in the tea plant. And so the tea spirit doesn't live in the chamomile plant or the peppermint plant or the, ayahuasca for that matter. So just the tea. Any other questions? Okay.
I think that
Well,
was it.
thank you all so much. And I will hopefully see you all soon.